There seems to be a whole conversation in the so-called spiritual world. I say so-called because a lot of spirituality is really just superimposed beliefs disguised as spiritual light. They're just beliefs with the name spiritual attached to it. It doesn't mean it's spiritual at all. But I just want to address this distinction a lot of people throw around called spiritual bypassing and look at it from different views. Okay, is when people talk about your spiritual bypassing, they're saying it's like, oh, you're kind of avoiding something, you're escaping something, you're deluded, you're illusionary. Like you should be stronger, you should be more powerful, you should go through this. Yeah. Why would a person do a spiritual bypass? Why would they avoid pain? Why would they escape into a fantasy? Probably because they're feeling overwhelmed. It's like a defense mechanism. Our nervous system withdraws into itself when it perceives a threat. So, for example, an interesting thing I discovered a few weeks back, these thought loops that we often have. Apparently, our nervous system is withdrawing the energy from the vital organs, from the feeling senses, from our empathic range, and drawing it in and up into thought, into this apparent safe realm, and then just presses loop, repeat. So we end up focusing on a looping thought, instead of feeling through the body and feeling the threat in the space. Now when we come back to a space of self-nurturing, which is what I did a few weeks back, suddenly stroke my belly, breathe into my belly, self-soothe myself, bit of rocking, saying it's okay, we're safe here, I'm grounded here, I'm okay here. This looping thought just stopped. It was miraculous. So all those people in meditation teaching you to still the mind, maybe you need to still the mind by nourishing the body and actually addressing why the mind is sending looping thoughts in the first place. And I just want to bring this back to this sense of betrayal and what we call spiritual bypass. When something painful happens to us, a death, a grief, a heartbreak, a loss, an ending, it is so overwhelming, so shocking sometimes. Like sometimes it's out of the blue, even though it's not usually out of the blue, because there's normally indicators and signs before. But even then, there's still the shock of loss. They've gone. It's over. It's the end. And that is probably not the moment to face and feel it and lean into it and do the whole kind of spiritual, metaphysical work of rejuvenation, regeneration. Maybe that's the moment to like stick Netflix on, go and have a beer, dive under a duvet, go and do something stupid. It's just like to take our attention away from the immediate overwhelm. I call it duvet diving, like diving under a nice warm duvet and just getting cozy. It's like the world is too much, I need to escape for a moment. And I'm speaking to this place to give a voice to this, that it's perfectly okay, in my view and feeling and experience, when you're in an overwhelmed, shocking space. It's okay to step out of it for a while. Now you could perceive that and say, oh, they're spiritual bypassing, they're avoiding. No. They're self-soothing, they're protecting their nervous system. Because right now, in this moment, the shock is so much, I do not have the resources, resilience, or skills to face and feel into it. Time passes. I get more perspective. I start to calm down. I start to integrate. I start to breathe again. I start to get support around me. I start to remember the resources I have. I start to train in some skills in breath, in communication, in self-awareness, in journaling, and painting, and dancing, and shaking, all sorts of resources that we can cultivate that help us move energy through our body. And as and when I am ready to face that which was overwhelming, then maybe I step in to that fire and start to kind of put some water on it and start to calm it down and start to address it. So for me, this kind of spiritual bypassing is it's just too judgmental. It's too kind of like condemnation. It's a bit like saying you're not masculine enough, or there's not enough polarity. It's like these generalized stereotypes that are thrown around as spiritual jargon. Don't address the tenderness, the rawness, the messiness of the human experience. Don't just invite you to observe yourself. How is it when you're in shock? It's like your first thing is probably not to meet the moment with full awareness and enlightenment and embrace. It's probably to go into the shock and feel into it and soothe yourself and calm yourself and reharmonize and gently come back. And as and when you feel ready, which sometimes is weeks, months, sometimes even years, to really go through the whole grief of a whole big cycle, the loss. When we're ready, then we step in and get the support, resources, and self-expression that we're ready for. And even then, it's still progressive. There's no push, there's no force, there's no it needs to be done, there's no judgment around it not being done. Doesn't mean you're unconscious or unevolved or unenlightened. It just means that you're going through a deep, painful process of grief or loss or heartbreak, and it takes time. It takes time and skill and empathy and choice. So I just want to call out to that, because sometimes I've experienced in certain workshops and rituals and ceremonies, there's this kind of push. Do it now, you can get through this, you'll be stronger. And what I feel is like an implicit judgment or a hidden judgment, kind of in the background, it's kind of covert, hidden, which is that you should do this. You know, you should be better than this, you should be more evolved than this. And actually, no, I don't feel that at all. I really celebrate the humanity of the whole experience. And part of the experience may be avoidance at the beginning, soothing, calming, and then when I'm ready, stepping in progressively. So I feel this is really important, to allow yourself, and don't use this as a get out of jail card that you're never going to face something, never going to feel it. Yeah, it's just like being really honest with yourself. What am I capable of feeling into right now? What do I need to do? And I would suggest dropping this whole notion of spiritual bypassing. What does that even mean anyway? Bypassing the spirit? You can't bypass the spirit, you're made of the stuff. It's not possible. You're just in a momentary contraction, because that's what you're needing to do. And when you're ready, you start to open that and be more expanded. Everything is spirit. Ego states, enlightened states, expanded states, it's all spirit, because it's all life. How could it not be? Okay. The train is passing. Let it pass. Yeah. Take your time, follow your own flow, and feel into it as and when you're ready, when you're resourced, when you're skilled, and when you choose on your timeline.